Here we are taking in this ancient Roman theatre. You may have heard earlier on someone reciting the famous speech from one of Shakespeare's plays, Friends, Romans, Countrymen. And whatever she said resounded throughout the theatre. The acoustics were simply superb. Next to this theatre is a hippodrome which seats 25,000 people, and there are promenades and shops which cater to the wealthy in this area years ago. It's an absolutely delightful place to be, as people walk around taking in all the ancient writings, which you can see clearly marked on the walls, depicting the contributions made by the wealthy people of that era as they help support the theatre and the arts. This is part of the ancient Roman city of Jerash, which lies some 40 odd kilometers north of the capital city of Jordan, Amman. Only 17% of this city has been excavated, but most of it is covered with homes which have recently been built. Just imagine for a moment Moses leading the escaping Israelites from Egypt through this terrain towards the quest further west, the new lands of Israel. This is what they had to endure. No water, very, very dry. And it is in this area there's a place called Wadi Musa, which means the Valley of Moses, where he struck a rock and water gushed forth for the survival of his people. Here we enter this narrow canyon called Al-Sik into the ancient capital of the Nabatean Empire called Petra, once lost until it was rediscovered in 1812. The towering pink, red and white limestone cliffs surrounded us as we came first into this magnificent area and the World Heritage Site called the Treasury, carved from the limestone rock from the top downwards. This magnificent place draws millions of visitors. A video does capture the moment, but it's hard to describe the feeling when you enter a place such as this, which has lasted for 2,000 years and more. It's incredible to be here, and I had to pinch myself to really understand that I finally made it here to Petra. Part of our stay in the desert was a delightful visit to a Bedouin camp where we spent 2 nights. Absolutely hidden in a little valley surrounded by limestone cliffs. This wonderful place was really an oasis in that arid landscape. These are the comfortable cabins for guests, and we stayed in cabin number 2 right here. This is the Bedouin Camp at night. A wonderful experience sitting around the campfire, sipping mint tea and chatting with visitors from all over the world. Absolutely great experience to exchange ideas and thoughts with people with different perspectives and backgrounds. It was just delightful. And here the lighted hills which surrounded our camp. An absolutely romantic place as well. During the visit, we chose to separate from our party and climb this mountain, at the top of which lay a monument which they call the Monastery. It's a 2,000-year-old structure, again, carved from the top down on this limestone cliff. It was simply magnificent to add to the other beauty that we saw earlier. And now came the trip down, and that was the trip, unfortunately, through this terrain that Jeanette, here she is sitting peaceably, not knowing what's to happen, but she fell and fractured her foot and her ankle. The wonders of nature, but yet somewhat treacherous as we rushed down the mountainside to rejoin our group. Rushing was the precise reason that Jeanette slipped and fell, and she heard the crack. Someone came to her rescue very quickly, wrapping her ankle with their scarf. It was just a wonderful experience to see that. Fortunately, I always carry my international phone with me, so I was able to call for help from the mountaintop. And the medics, as you can see here, came and rescued her, put her on a mule and took her down the mountain. There was no other way of taking her down. It must have been very painful for her and very uncomfortable, but she made it down, and thereafter taken to Queen Rania Hospital in nearby city of Wadi Musa, where she got excellent treatment before her return to Jerusalem and the hospital system over there. This is Wadi Rum, famous for being the site of the movie The Martian, and you can see why. It's an unreal place. It's surreal. You don't think that you are on Earth. You actually think that you are maybe on Mars. The towering red cliffs and other limestone structures were just simply magnificent. We chose to use the 4x4 rather than camels, which some people did, because Jeanette had fallen earlier and fractured her ankle and her foot. Imagine for a moment a caravan of up to 10,000 camels bringing the treasures from the east to the capital of the Nabatean Empire, Petra. As I conclude this revisit to the Jordanian desert a few years ago, I want to say a special word of thanks to those people that we met along the way in Jordan. The people were so gracious and kind, starting with the lady who wrapped Jeanette's ankle when she found her on the side of the mountain. to the doctor, the attendants, the drivers, the person who owned the mule, and many others. Thanks to them. We really, really appreciate it.